Great.
All right, let's get started, guys. So welcome. This is my presentation on self-confidence. It's a bit about my experience with self-confidence and lack of, some of the things that I've learned on my journey, some of the things that I've worked on, and some of the things that I help my clients work on as well. If you've got any questions, tap them away in the chat. As and when people join, I'm just going to let those in. Most of the settings have been hidden. I just want to concentrate on delivering this presentation today rather than interacting to get me out of the starting gate. So my objective with this presentation then is to, like I've already mentioned, share a bit about my experience with self-belief and confidence. It's to get experience at giving these presentations. I've not actually done any of these presentations live online to an audience of 1 or 0 or 100. So this is about starting for me. It's to push my comfort and grow self-confidence. So like I said, this seems incredibly alien. And the thought about doing these presentations to people about making mistakes and all those things brings up a lot of different emotions and feelings. And I've got 2 options with those. I can either hide from them, avoid doing them, or I can confront them, process them, and move on, which is exactly what this is about. And so this is my day 1, week 1. This is me arriving at the start line, and it's to encourage other people to do that also. It's to make a start, to have that conversation, the difficult conversation, to push yourself a little bit into discomfort, to build your self-confidence. One thing I should mention here is that on PowerPoint, this presentation is done on PowerPoint. Obviously, you've got the animations that come out quite nicely on PowerPoint. Here, for some reason, not in my haste, but in my wanting to get this out as B- perfect is never the right time. What I'm trying to say is done is better than perfect. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. So it doesn't quite come up in line. Everything just arrives at one time in terms of the animations of the slides and stuff. So a bit of background about me. 2 quite important parts of my life there, the military and being a father. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm a resilience and performance coach. And basically what I do is I help my clients build self-confidence, build strategies, build resilience to get them to the next level of success. And I've got some incredibly interesting clients who've done some incredibly interesting things. And we might think that they've got it all, but they're very human. And that's an example I like to try and give now with some of my achievements. So I think one of the pinnacles, I'm going to speak about both of those, but one of them there definitely been in the military. I had the privilege of serving in the military for 10 years, 5 years with the Royal Marines and 5 years with the SAS, despite the fact I'm sat there in a boat. Probably a highlight for me. I served all across the globe with these guys, lots of different operational tours and experience before I left, and then did 10 years in the security industry in hostile environments, working as close protection, bodyguard type of work for different people, different agencies, including Premiership footballers, although not in hostile environments, politicians, businessmen, reporters, and DoD contracts. So that is Department of Defense, like American type contracts in hostile environments, as well as a few other things as well. And then I became a personal trainer, and a few years ago made the leap from personal training into coaching, and here I am today. Along with that, I speak 3 languages. I'm a father of 2 incredible kids, and I live here in Barcelona. So is a mix of my background and some of my achievements. That said, despite those highlights, and we've all got our own list, I'm shy and insecure, often quiet, often easily embarrassed. I avoid confrontation. I avoid conflict because of a fear of being called out or humiliated. I failed most of my exams as a kid at school. And I carried that type of belief that I was not clever, not capable for a long time until my coach helped me see the other things, the other attributes that I've got. And in fact, that wasn't even the truth anyway. A couple of my, not low points, but things that are quite difficult to talk about, especially in public, but that are interesting to explore because of what they created for me or what I carried with me. And those would include pissing myself on stage at 10 years of age, doing a recorder solo, as you do, in black jeans in front of the whole school and most of the kids' parents. That's a good one. I watched a mate get shot when I was in the military, and I didn't think I reacted as I should at the time, and carried the burden of blame and judgment around for a long time with myself. And I lost a company $750,000 in 2 or 3 days. So what's my point of trying to explain this? Well, it is to say that every single person has got a highlight list. Every single person's got things they've done well, been done that are proud of. But there's also things that we can't take back, that we can't change. Those mistakes, we've all got our own vulnerabilities. We've all got our own pasts, even if there's a lot worse, a lot bigger, a lot more traumatic, or a lot less. The point is, it's part of being a human. And what I'm trying to say with all this is, don't pedestal somebody just because they've got a military background and assume they've got it figured out. Because as I've just highlighted and hinted at, we've all got a past. We've all got things that try and pull us back into our belief system to keep us safe. So confidence, again, normally on PowerPoint is fire up one at a time. Confidence means to me then, it's when we have done something a number of times that we know that we can control or have a good possibility of influencing the outcome. So a real simple example, walking into a restaurant, I'm fairly confident I can get food because I don't know where it is. I don't know exactly how or what they've got, but if I walk in, speak to somebody, I can get a menu, I can pick something that I like that's within my price range, I pay for it, and I'll get some food. I'm confident of that. Another way to look at it is we've gained competence through experience, repetition, or practice. So think of it as like a sporting skill. My boy plays hockey, so he's getting better and better at the stick control through practice, through repetition, and through experience of games. He's gaining confidence as a hockey player. Now, the thing that was really interesting for me when I started to look at I started to explore my own things with the help of my coach, and it's what I help my clients do also, is that I was getting confidence and self-confidence kind of mixed up. I assumed that because I wasn't confident, i.e. competent at a certain thing, then I wasn't a self-confident person. And you'll see what I mean here when I go on to explain what self-confidence means to me. Self-confidence is the ability to feel the spectrum of the human emotions, especially the negative ones, things like fear, shame, vulnerability, and anxiety, and take action anyway. So if we take this presentation as an example, because my experience of recorder soloing, I have hidden away from standing up in public and speaking. And when I do, it provokes a very strong reaction in me because of my thoughts that are related to what happened back then, which is something along the lines of, they're laughing at you, look at what you've done, everyone thinks you're stupid, all those sorts of things. So that's what my brain makes that link between public speaking, the experience of the recorder solo, and tries to avoid it. But this is me, like I said at the beginning, taking a step, leaning into that discomfort, the nerves, potentially the anxiety around doing these sorts of things, about making mistakes. I'm doing it anyway. Another way to think of it is self-confidence is the outcome is not a direct reflection of ourselves as a person. That's to say, if I make mistakes on this presentation, if there is spelling mistakes, if I get tongue-tied, if I forget where I'm going, it doesn't change me as a person. I can separate out the presentation and me as a person. My self-worth isn't wrapped around that one thing, be that in a positive way or a negative way. Self-confidence is the belief that we are enough. Self-confidence takes action before that person is ready. I'm taking action before I fully feel ready. I feel, like I said, those spectrum of emotions, and I'm turning up. So how do I get my clients, and how did I work on my self-confidence? Well, there's three real phases here in my experience, and that is the awareness and then acceptance. So awareness can take quite a while to come when we've got certain pathways, ways of thinking, limited beliefs, maps of the world, biases, call it what you want. It can take a while to overtrain those, because our brain it's like a computer. It tries to help us out by saving time and energy and doing the maths real quick, sometimes not checking all the facts. For example, I do not know the difference between a real life, well, at least my brain doesn't know, sorry, the difference between a real life life and death situation and the anxiety that is could perhaps be invoked at the thought of speaking on stage to 600 people. It will try and avoid both. All it knows is threats. Let's do what we can to avoid that. So, like I said, awareness takes a while to come for different people. And once we have become aware, conscious of that, then we move into acceptance. Acceptance of who we are. That can be physical characteristics or personality traits. All that we've done, including the things we're proud of, the mistakes we've made, the things that we can't take back. I truly believe if I spent time and energy, or more time and more energy, replaying that scenario or certain scenarios back in my head, I'll be wasting more time. The recorder solo is a classic example of, I don't know how many years I put off standing up in front of people and speaking, yet really somewhere in my heart, there's a desire, there's a longing to do that, to help people. And until I get over myself, deal with all these things, then I'm not gonna be able to continue that. So it's kind of learning to let that go, learning to slightly shift my perspective and look at that in a different light. It's acceptance of where I am on my journey. If I take something else I didn't mention at the beginning, actually, something else I'm quite proud of is my Ironman races that I've done, usually with minimal preparation, usually with kids running around or just flying back from a hot country, apart from one. But anyway, if I was this is a brilliant example. So if I was in terms of preparation, fitness and readiness on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a complete amateur and 10 being a professional, if I was wishing myself at 8, 9 or 10, I could easily find myself overwhelmed if I was like trying to force myself to be better than I was. For those that you've done long distance races, if you go out too hard, too fast, too soon, you blow up. And sometimes even finishing is a challenge. Second. Even letting someone in, even completing is a challenge. We have to be able to sort of like tailor or pace ourselves to our limit. There's no point in me trying to pace myself to a professional. It's just not realistic. So I need to accept that I'm a 3 or a 4 on my journey and do the best I can from where I am. Acceptance means knowing what is in and out of our control. And really what this does is relinquishes us of a lot of responsibility, because at the end of it, there's not that much we can control. It's about us turning up for ourselves, doing the best we can on that day. Our attitude, our mindset, how we act, how we behave, how we perform, the amount of effort that we give are things that we control. The rest of it, not such a given. Acceptance of that perspective is a choice. And this comes back to like our upbringing, the cultures that we were born into, comments that have been made by teachers, parents, partners. It all helps to shape the way that we see the world. But the thing is, that is not necessarily the way that we see it. We take it as given, but really, is that our lens to be looking through? And it's about exploring that, accepting that maybe there's a different way to look at this. And acceptance is of also the fact that circumstances are neutral. It's us that give the meaning. And like I just alluded to there, it's about those beliefs are inherited. We're born a blank slate. We absorb all this information so that we can make quick decisions so we don't waste energy. Basically, the human body is an absolutely incredible machine, and what it's looking to do is get us from A to B as quickly as possible. And if we have to spend 3/4 of an hour thinking about which way to go to work every single day, based on a variety of options, it's a waste of energy. And so what it's trying to do is the quickest route for us. So it doesn't always check all the facts. Anyway, the circumstances are neutral. It's us that give the meaning. Moving on from awareness and acceptance will be process and processing. Here, I'm referring to emotions. So rather than fighting, rather than distracting, hiding, or running from, as I gave my example of fear or nerves or anxiety around public speaking, I allow those. I'll give an example of that in a minute about what's the emotion trying to tell us. If I'm completely honest, I never really used to understand emotions. I basically thought emotions are just people that cry. I don't really think of it like that anymore. The way that I choose to see emotions now is like energy in motion. It's used, an emotion is used to drive an action, usually to pull us into line with something or push us away from a danger from a very, very instinctive place. It's not something we have a great deal of control over. Example of that then. So yeah, what might be the emotion trying to tell us? So I was talking to my coach and I was imagining myself giving a speech, a presentation in public. And one of my things, probably related to the way that I think about presentations and public speaking, given my experience in recorder solos, would have been, I don't want to be humiliated. Humiliation to me at that time would have been people criticizing what I'm saying, telling me that it's rubbish, etc., etc. So if I distracted that or kicked it even further down the line, I probably wouldn't have listened to what that was and then thought of, well, actually, if people are trying to criticize me and my story, that's okay. Actually, that's their opinion. It's not mine. This is my story to share. If you don't like that, that's absolutely fine. There's the door. And it's to come up with that's the difference. There's one small example that I can give of allowing an emotion, what potentially might be that trying to tell us, and it's helped me prepare for something there. If that situation arises, that's my answer. Well, this is my story. It's okay. That's my story. There's the door. And it's the ability to process and separate ourselves, like I mentioned earlier, the results of the outcome from something, from our self-worth or value. So it doesn't mean that, yeah, there you go. So when I saw my mate get shot, and we were in that situation, for years I carried around cowardice, I think it was. For years, but really, I choose now to see that situation of, wow, holy shit, the power of human emotion. Like, I'd done all these things, I still didn't react. as I thought I should have. And even then, some people will say I did the right thing, others would say I've done the wrong thing. And again, that's absolutely fine. But that judgment and opinion isn't mine to wear of my, you know, I can take an active choice of my perspective of this situation. I can separate myself out. Believe you me, I played that through enough times in my head. The next one on then would be action. So after we've processed and before that we've accepted, then we want to lean into things that are going to build our self-confidence. So we need to have a goal. Public speaking is a perfect one. Why? So if I go back to me, it's a lot easier to speak about me. So one of the things I want to do is have a business as a coach. I want to be able to speak to people. I want to be able to help people. Why? Because I want to have a business that allows me the flexibility and impact that I want with my family. To travel back to the UK when I want to take a day off school to look after the kids when I want to allow them to walk them to school when I want to, and maybe to do the odd race when I went to as well. So that's my why. That's quite a powerful why for me. And it's to take small steps into that action to build the self-belief. And this is one of them. And like I said, it's not the fact, this presentation isn't giving me the self-belief or self-confidence. It's me giving myself permission. Do you know what? I've written it up here to myself. Let's go. You've got this. And it's that's the sort of thing, despite the tight stomach, the nerves, stepping into that anyway. Is actions to do, like I mentioned earlier, dealing with obstacles ahead of time. That's a really brilliant insight and brilliant tool, is that when we can think from a grounded place, when we allow that emotion to come and go, because all it is a chemical reaction within the body, then it often is trying to tell us a message, one that we're too busy, we're too distracted about to really listen to. And it gives us little solutions, hints or tips as a way to overcome those. So we can deal with them ahead of time. With I'm not going to say haters, but critics, I've already got an answer for them. Not all of it, but I'm half prepared. And then it's to learn from those experiences and then go again. Some of the things I just wanted to real touch on. So that can sound quite far out there if you've not been coached, if you've not gone through that process. So a couple of other little things that I do for myself when I'm feeling like, I don't think I'm ready for this type of moments, is to stay present. What do I mean about that is, rather than thinking about the other people on the other side of the screen and what they might be thinking, I'm just concentrating on the words in front of me now, on the screen that you're looking at, on a few little post-it notes that I've got jotted around my computer here. I'm really present. I'm not going off into imagining what you're thinking. I lean into discomfort. I acknowledge the fact that I'm human. I acknowledge the fact that I've made mistakes. I acknowledge the fact that I've got feelings, and push into doing what I want to do anyway. A big one for me was also asking for help, speaking to people, getting advice, speaking to coaches, getting a mentor. All these sorts of people help guide you, help explore, help push you sometimes towards that direction that you need for you to give yourself permission to build that self-belief. And a couple of final thoughts. Confidence then, for me, is a byproduct, not a prerequisite. Self-confidence starts with you. There's nothing outside of you that can give you confidence. It all starts within you. Like I mentioned right at the beginning, often the confusion is just because we are not competent at something, we assume we're not self-confident, and then we wait and wait and wait and wait, potentially missing opportunities, missing business deals, missing races, and so many other things because of that confusion. And also the assumption that, they must be they must be confident. I'm not confident. We get it mixed up. Keeps us perfectly stuck where we are. which is exactly what our brain is trying to save us from. Like I said, it doesn't know the difference between real life-threatening situation and danger, and the anxiety, nerves, and fear that potentially an Ironman race and that swim start might give you. It doesn't know it, so it'll try and avoid it. So if there's any questions that have come in, that I can see there hasn't come in any questions yet, that's absolutely fine. If anybody's got any insights, I've just popped into the group there my email address, just in case anybody wants to get in touch with me there. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, then please hit me up on my email address there in the chat. If there's any insights that you've had from this presentation, things that potentially have resonated with you, please let me know. I'm really interested to hear that. And also any action steps that you could take to lean in to discomfort to build your self-confidence. Thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for your patience. I appreciate you taking the time here to listen to this presentation. If you want to know a bit more about my coaching, if you want to know a bit more about how I work, or just interested for a chat, like I say, here's my email address. Please get in touch. It would be great to hear from you. Thanks. Good night.